Welcome back to Apotheosis Role-Playing Games. My name is Teddy. We're going to switch it up a little bit today. We're having our playtest interview with Sam. Hi, Sam.
Hey, guys.
Thank you for joining us. And always, thank you very much for all of the work you're doing for us here. All of these videos, Instagram posts, everything is done by Sam, and we don't know where we would be without her. So let's get on to it. So Sam, how long have you been playtesting the Apotheosis system?
Since 2011.
2011, very nice. And again, thank you for all that hard work. So do you prefer role-playing in fantasy, sci-fi, or modern-day settings?
So I prefer a mixture of fantasy and science fiction. I can't really choose between the two because I love them both so much. I don't like modern day as much unless it has superheroes in it. Then I like it a little bit more, but still not as much as the other two.
And a follow-up question to that, did you enjoy the Purring Quest, which was run by Richard Reed, where everyone was transformed into cats and they were in a modern-day setting as cats battling things inside a house?
I loved that campaign. Yeah, we knocked something over off the table in one the encounter, and it was just wonderful.
And
I completely loved it.
The cats were afraid of a vacuum cleaner or something. I wasn't there for that event, but it was quite a success. So
It was really great.
good times. So without going into the game mechanics of the Apotheosis system, what's your favorite part of the system itself?
So I know that everyone's been going into the details about the race-changing system.
Right.
And the Apotheosis pass, but I'm going to go with it something a little bit different today from like a DM's perspective.
Okay.
Everything's pretty well balanced, and I like the point system because it's a point-buy system, and it has, when you level up, you get 3 sets of points for your 3 different styles of...
So sections of the character sheet.
Yes,
okay.
The sections of the character sheet. It's really well balanced. I like the fact that I don't have to sacrifice points that I would use on my character skill for their race-changing abilities, and I don't have to sacrifice their skills for their defenses, because their defenses get their very own points, and I really love that you don't have to really think too hard about where you're going to sacrifice, and you don't have to just... You can just do everything you need.
So you can still build a functional character and not feel like if you want to play something that fits one type of a genre, you're going to sacrifice too much from some other place, and then even though you've made a character that fits the idea you had, it doesn't really play well at the table. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Precisely.
So just like I said, not to go too much into the mechanics, but so as you level, you gain points in 3 different sections, and those points can't cross over. One of the sections is for defenses, one of the sections is for character skills. Think of those more of as things people can learn and can spend time getting better at, like throwing a ball, firing a gun, learning quantum physics, something like that. And then a section completely devoted to your species section, which is basically the maintenance of yourself. So this is working out, gaining more muscle, doing brain teasers to increase your intelligence, and then going further than that, that's the same section people use for the Apotheosis paths, in which, if they're allowed in the game, a player can actually change their species from one species to another over time. All right, that was a really great answer. Thank you, Sam. So what have been some of the characters that you've played using the Apotheosis system?
I've played and created a ridiculous amount of characters, but the characters I'm going to talk about today, one of my absolute favorite characters is going to be Faith, who was my snakeman, undead, necromancer, and I wish I could play her again, but she's a little tied up at the moment.
Frozen in time.
Frozen in time. She is frozen in time. And then I really, really love Zareth.
Okay.
Which is my ranger.
That's your Dusk Elven ranger who was cursed in her past backstory for what reasons?
So, I wanted to make a character. I've had this character idea in my head for many years, and I was able to play her last year, I think? 2 years ago?
It was 2 years ago, and you played her for almost 2 years.
So I played her 2 years ago, and I wanted to have one hand have one magical effect and one have the other, but I didn't want to spend the character points, so I found a way to weasel it onto my character in curses. So when she was younger, she was a thief, and she went into a Dusk Elven tomb and touched a couple of things she wasn't supposed to touch, and she didn't learn from the first time she did it, so she touched a second one and got cursed twice.
And the way that we balanced those curses was that you had little to no control over when they worked?
Yeah, they worked pretty much all the time, and I had to wear gloves because poison was oozing from both of my hands at all times, so I had to wear very special protective gloves, and if I took them off and touched people with them, it would actually do damage. So my character couldn't touch anyone or anything
So a
with their hands.
little bit like Rogue from X-Men, like that classic character.
Kinda.
She played that way a little bit, so at least in the role-playing side of it. It was a neat character.
Bit.
And definitely a Dusk Elf through and through. And of course, guys, Dusk Elf for us, those are our Dark Elves, or Drow or Dro, depending on where you grew up. Okay. Why do you think people should use the Apotheosis system?
Because you have everything you need in the character sheet. You don't have to think about what books you're going to buy when you use Apotheosis, because you're going to have the monster manual, you're going to have all your class abilities, your races, and everyone gets these automatically. So you guys don't have to slide a book back and forth across the table to figure out who's right about what rule, or because everyone has the exact same rule set in their system.
And what you mean by character sheet, you're discussing the app where we use either our tablets or our phone or even a computer, and we're able to look up the game mechanics right there for all of the abilities just by hovering over it, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is really awesome and incredibly helpful.
We call it the sheet, but it is indeed not a character sheet. It would be more like a giant book if it was printed out, but it's much easier now that we have cell phones and tablets, and it works out much better.
It definitely is, and it's very helpful for people like me who are ever so slightly forgetful of the rules, and you have to take a second and do a quick read.
All right. What is your favorite memory at the table while playing in the Apotheosis system?
My favorite memories at the table involves actually the science fiction expansion that I run on Fridays, and they are all from your character.
Oh my god.
So he plays this wonderful character called Quasimodo. He was a mutant in my world, which is Alien Experiment, and he's a great character, and I love him so much. So I gave him a bell with the name Quasimodo on it from another world, and I have convinced his character that he is an immortal gladiator from another world that just reincarnates over and over again, and it is wonderful. His character is incredibly pure and kind, and his character is very much a hero even though he doesn't consider himself one. So every time he roleplays, it is absolutely fantastic, and he oddly enough roleplays more than anybody else at the table, and it's wonderful.
Quasimodo is definitely a gentle soul. He was a slave in an alien experiment, and has very little real-world knowledge. So I play him very childlike, with his traumatic past and turning everything into a positive. He's a one-armed hunchback character. Don't tell Disney, obviously I just stole the name. And he fights with a bell and a chain, so that's his thing. Well, thank you very much for that being your favorite memory. Hey guys, seriously, if you like this video, like, share, obviously subscribe to the channel, and thank you very much to all of our Patreons on Patreon. You guys are really helping us put out more content, and every single time you share the game with someone else, get a gaming group together and play, you're helping us get the game out there so that we can be one step closer to getting our Kickstarter going, and then getting this app out to you guys, and getting the PDF done, and the books printed, and all the many steps that I'm going through right now trying to get this to go live. So thank you very much for all your help on Patreon, and if any of you guys are watching, please go ahead and click on that. We have more content over there, and consider subscribing over there. and we'll send you some goodies in the mail if you win one of our loot giveaways. Most of them are made by Sam, some of them are made by 3D Artificer, and we'll be doing her interview next. So hopefully tune in for that next week. Thank you very much again, and have a great day.